Hello. Have you ever wanted to stop looking at a chord sheet as you play and become one of those guitarists who can just play instinctively without being locked into looking at a piece of paper or screen with the chords written on them? Well, I discovered last week that that was exactly what the Mode Decoder has done for me when I joined a record-breaking gathering of 600 other guitarists at St George's Hall in Liverpool. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the Florrie's Big Guitar In event, analyse 3 songs we were given to learn, and how the Mode Decoder helped me to have the best time ever and given me the full playing experience by not having to look at a song sheet, despite only having a week to learn the songs. I'll show you how you can move away from having to memorise a particular song to using your unconscious muscle memory to play any song. But first, here's a little bit of background. A couple of weeks ago, I was round at my old friend Trevor's house and he told me about a guitar event that was happening here in Liverpool called the Big Guitar In. And he had 2 tickets, so would I like to come along? Well, I said yes, of course, and so he showed me the 3 songs we would be playing. And these were Benny King's Stand By Me, The Drifters' Save the Last Dance For Me, and appropriately enough for Liverpool, the Beatles' All You Need Is Love. The music sheet supplied was set out in a typical way I'm sure you're familiar with chord names above the lyrics, simple minor and major chords and some sevenths. And what I suddenly realised was that most, if not all, of the other players would be approaching this in the same way, which is to read the chords off the sheet, then play the chords, probably as open chords, and then move on to the next, and do this over and over until the songs are memorised, like remembering a poem or a story. I realised that I wouldn't be doing it that way at all, as I don't have that sort of mind that can remember sequences of things in this way. So that's why I rely on the Mode Decoder to help me out. It was important for me to get these songs down as I only had a week to learn. In fact, 1 weekend and a few snatched hours before and after work. So for the event, firstly, I didn't want to forget where I was or how to play the songs while playing along with everyone. And the second thing I didn't want to do was on the day to be looking down at the sheet music, reading the chords, instead of playing, looking around, enjoying the atmosphere and being part of the whole event. As you'll see in this clip, we did have a great time, and I did avoid those things, and all thanks to the way I learned to play songs with the Mode Decoder. So before I show you how I did it, here's a flavour of the event, which was organised by the Florrie, a local Liverpool charity, and set in the prestigious location of St George's Hall.
Here's something a little bit not so businessy, but I'm at St George's Hall again, which seems to be a place that I end up a lot with these videos. Anyway, take a look at this. What do you call that many guitarists? What do you think, Sean? What do you call that many guitarists?
Strum off guitarist?
A strum off guitarist, what do you think? I think that's pretty good. We're going in to do a strum off. We're going to do 600 of us playing along to 3 songs.
So we're at the venue and looks like we're all sitting like the audience, the choir at the end. Now to find my seat.
Let me just tell you what's going to happen. We've got 3 singers tonight. We're going to play 3 songs, but we're going to play them twice. The first one's a little practice, and the second one we're going to do a take. 1, 2, bass, roll, air.
So as you can see, we and the other 600 players had a great time. Now I'm going to break down how I approached each song and how the Mode Decoder helped me to do this. So the first song was Save the Last Dance for Me. Firstly, this song was arranged in a much different key to the original. This was, of course, to match the range of the singer that we had on the day. This version is tabbed in the key of A major, or in the world of modes, A Ionian. 6 half steps above the original recorded version, which is in E major. Hopefully you'll see that it's so easy to play this in the original by just moving everything down 6 half steps. The main thing I found in this situation is being able to truly understand the distance and the relationship of each chord in a scale from the others. There's only 7, and really 6 if you discount the rarely played and dissonant sounding minor 7 flat 5 chord. So once you know where each one goes next to the others, all you need to do is to discover where one of the chord goes, and all the rest will follow. So let me show you the chord locations and then how this fits in with our first song. So we need to learn the locations of the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, the 4 chord, 5 chord, and of course the 6 chord. As I said, for completeness, I do include the 7 chord on the Mode Decoder, but in practice you'll never really want to play it. These 6 places are an important Mode Decoder lesson and are the positions that you'll be basing all your playing on, even the soloing, and be coming back to all the time with the Mode Decoder method. So get these down and you'll be able to play chords and solo along to most songs. The 1 chord. This is a major chord, and for this song is located on the 5th fret, which is on the E string. So you can find where these root notes are on the bottom E string and the lower A string with this diagram, which is on the back and on the inside. And you'll find, however, that this will come pretty naturally to you in a short space of time. Next, the 2 chord is a minor chord and lives 2 frets up from the 1 chord. And this is how you play a minor chord in this location, shifting your fingers up 2 frets and releasing the 3rd string to play the shape. Next is the 3 chord, also a minor, so simply shift your fingers up another 2 frets. Now we have the first 3 of the 6 chords in an easily learned pattern. Let's complete the set of chords next, and it's a similar process. The 4 chord. Now we ignore and don't play the thickest string, and our A string becomes the main string of the chord. I'm returning back to the 5th fret, fingering this 2nd shape to make a major chord. You can use your 3rd finger, or as I like to use my little finger, to bar off the strings. Next is the 5 chord, and this is also a major chord, and we just move our fingers up another 2 frets to play in the same way. Finally, the 6 chord, which is up another 2 frets and is a minor chord. And this has the fingering, which you'll notice is confusingly similar to our 1 chord on the E string we first did. And it sounds like this. You'll notice that I haven't said what the chords are apart from being major and minor, and that's because it often doesn't matter once you're in and playing. With this system, once you've learned the shapes and the positions, all you need to do is to find out where they go on the fretboard to play along with any song, and the Mode Decoder will help you to do that. Once you have these 6 in place, you'll find that all your chords and soloing position will fall in relation to them. I like to picture them as a solid set of numbered blocks, and the more you use them, the more they will become second nature. So for Save the Last Dance for me, I lock into the 5th fret and let my muscle memory do the rest. So how did I find out what key to play in? Let's look again at the chords on the sheet for Save the Last Dance for Me. This is a simple song in many ways, but does contain some modal genius, and I'm going to pick it apart and explain what's going on. But please just take this analysis as interesting info only. You don't need to know any of this to use my technique to play along to the songs. So what chords are we looking at? Only a few, 5 in fact. They are A, A7, E, E7 and D. So to set the mode decoder, I'm going to look at the first chord, A major, and try it in one of 3 available major boxes. The green box to start. So setting A in the green box throws up an E in the orange major box. So that's good. Good so far. But in the final major box, the blue one, we have a B, not a D, so this is not our configuration. Moving on, we put the A in the blue box and do get that C in a major box, but a G in the final major box, not an E. Lastly, and I'm sure you know where this is going, we put an A in the orange box and find both E and D in the other major boxes. So I can know for sure that this is definitely tabbed in A major or A Ionian. With A in the Ionian box, box 1, D is in the green major. Counting along from the A major, we find that this is the 4th box. So this is the 4 chord. You might have heard of song structures like 1-4-5, and this is what this means. Looking at the next box along, we see our 3rd chord is an E in the last major box, and this is box 5, making use of the classic 1, 4 and 5 chords. Now, in the list of chord variations in that blue box, we can see that there's another one of the chords mentioned, an E7. So now we only have 1 chord missing, and that's the A7. Well, the extra 7th is a very interesting anomaly that can be thrown into a song and which can be explained through modes. The purpose is to create a tension and then a release to the chord 5 chords down. And the E7, as the E7 does here, it's followed by the A. So this song does what's called a pivot at this point. Well, actually it's this point. So at that point, when playing the A, the ear will accept any mode that contains an A major. And in the world of modes, that can be A mixolydian and A Lydian. In this case, we do in fact pivot briefly into A mixolydian. That's the technical reason, but in practice, songwriters often just throw in a 7th to add that little bit of tension and colour before resolving to the root 5 steps down, 5 boxes down. So if going to a D, A7 sounds right. Practically for this song, all I'm going to do is to change the E to an E7th and change the A to an A7th. And this really showcases the beauty of the way I've chosen to show the alternative chords on the back and shows the 2 ways to play the 7th on the E string and on the A string. On the E string, I just remove one finger and optionally add one more. And on the A string, I just change from this to this. One small change, but a nice subtle difference. So let's remember where chords 1 to 7 now live in relation to each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ignoring 7. We can easily use our ear to find out which positions to use. Play all the chords, starting with the first chord, in this case an A, and then try out the others. And it soon becomes clear that the song uses the 1 chord, the 5 chord and the 4 chord. So to remember this song, I just need to remember that I start on the A or the 5th fret, and it's a 1, 4, 5 chords. Now, as I said, I'm hopeless at remembering. So here I'm looking at the sheet for the words, but not for the chords. 1 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 1 7, that's the 7th, 4 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, 7th, 1 chord again. Now on to the second song. Remember what we learned last time. This time the chords are G, E minor, C and D. Again, let's find the key or mode by putting in the start chord G in the 3 major windows, orange, green and blue. And no surprises, we are in G major or G Ionian. G goes in orange, E minor in the red, C in the green and D in the blue. So as before, all I need to do to remember this song is to know my starting chord or fret G, fret 3, and remember the sequence of numbers, or using your ear to recognise the 4th and the 5th, etc. And so on. So that's 2 songs sorted in quick succession. All you need is love is more tricky, but the same idea applies, and in typical Beatles fashion, this is in more than one mode. So looking at the chords for the verse, which are G, D and E minor and A minor. All good so far. But now let's look at the chorus. The chorus is G, A, not A minor, D and B minor. And E minor, yeah. So spinning the wheel and trying G in the major windows, we find all those chords appear when the G is in the green window. So for the chorus, we find it's actually pivoting to G Lydian. So in theory, for this part, we can shift all our chords here. However, as I needed to get this song down more simply, I cheated a little and I kept with the box of chords in the first location that I had and just changed the A minor to an A major. Also adding the B7 like this. And I found doing it this way kept the song locked into the few frets and chord positions, making it easier to remember. So this is how it goes, centered around the locked in G box shape. Well, what a day that was, and I'm glad it's highlighted a practical way that the Mode Decoder can help in situations like this and make them so much more doable and enjoyable. So before I go, here's a posher version that I did with adding some more twiddly bits on that framework that I just showed you. Well, I hope you found that useful and hope it helps you to be able to do something similar. See you next time.